Hello, my friends, and welcome to Adesola Writes. Quick question. Do you think everyone is treated the same in their relationship with God? Do you believe that the same rule applies to everyone? If your answer is yes or no, we're about to find out in this groundbreaking story. This story is none else than the story of the priest Zechariah and the birth of John the Baptist. Quick character list for us today. We have the Angel Gabriel. We have Zechariah. He was a priest. We have his wife, Elisabeth, who also is a cousin to Virgin Mary. And we have their son, John, who became John the Baptist, the renowned man crying out in the wilderness. All right, let's get into the story, shall we? Zechariah was a priest. So basically what the priests do is they go to the temple and they burn incense. When they're done burning incense and they finish doing, their supplications and whatnot, they come out to everyone and everyone is waiting for them outside. Because remember back in these days, we couldn't go into the temple. There wasn't like a church that we could all worship in. So the priest had to do this. Now that was Zechariah's role. Now for him to be a priest, obviously the people outside are expecting him to be closer to God, right? On this fateful day, Zechariah was in the temple, and while he was burning incense, the angel Gabriel appeared unto him, and he was scared. So the angel Gabriel said unto him, I'm going to read from the book of Luke chapter 1, verses 13. And the angel said unto him, Fear not, Zechariah, for thy prayer is heard, and thy wife Elisabeth shall bear thee a son, and thou shalt call his name John. After the angel Gabriel told him this wonderful tidings, he went on to tell him about what this child is going to look like. He said, this child is going to proclaim this child is going to do that. This child is not going to drink wine nor hard drinks and stuff. So he basically just told him all these wonderful things. And at this point in time, if you can imagine it, it should be like a wow moment, right? For priest Zechariah. And what Zechariah said afterwards was he said, Whereby shall I know this? For I am an old man and my wife well stricken in years. So the first thing that Zechariah responded back with was doubts, how will I know this? I'm old and my wife is stricken with age. What do you mean, how will you know this? The angel Gabriel was like, I, the angel of the Lord, I'm telling you, this is what is going to happen. So he said, but this is the sign that shall come. You shall be dumb. Bro, I'm telling you, angels had no chill. Zechariah was like, how will I know? The angel was like, because I said it, but this is how you would know now. You shall be dumb. And immediately Zechariah was dumb and he couldn't speak, right? When he went outside and people were expecting for him to speak because he's a priest, he's supposed to come out and talk to them, he couldn't say anything, but they perceived that he had seen a vision in there. Now, Zechariah cannot speak. We know now that Elisabeth has now conceived, she has a child, and Elisabeth is Virgin Mary's older cousin. When Elisabeth was around 6 months pregnant, the angel of the Lord had appeared unto Mary and had told Mary that, you're going to have a child. That is actually covered in a different story, and you can find that link down below. So when Mary got to the house of Elisabeth and she was like, hi, how's everyone doing? Peace be unto this house. Elisabeth heard it and she was like, blessed are you amongst all women. It is funny that same salutation was given to Mary when the angel had appeared unto her. So you see how the spirit is one. When the child inside of Elisabeth heard the voice of Mary, it leapt for joy. And when Elisabeth came out, basically they had a good time. Zechariah is still dumb at this point because he still cannot speak all through the pregnancy. After Elisabeth gave birth to John, 8 days later, it was time for them to name the child, and they wanted to name the child Zechariah. Elisabeth was like, no, that's not the name of this child. She was like, the name of this child is John. And everyone was like, what do you mean, John? There's no one in your family that goes by the name of John. And they turned to Zechariah, who at this point was still dumb because he still couldn't speak. And when they signaled onto him, what is the name of your child? He asked for a tablet and something to write on, and then he wrote, John. And as soon as he held up that testimony that his name is going to be John, immediately he received his voice and he could speak again. And when he spoke, he prophesied, he thanked God. And that is the story of the birth of John the Baptist. And just like the question I asked earlier, some things to note in this story is, one, the relationship with God is not one shoe fits all. The Lord is going to have a different relationship with everyone. In one of our previous stories, we talked about Gideon and how he asked for 3 signs. And the Lord gave him 3 signs. Now, check this out. Gideon asked for 3 signs. The Lord gave him 3 signs. Priest Zechariah doubted once and he went dumb. Check that out. So if you're here and maybe you look at other people's life and you're like, oh, after all, they did that, I can do it. One thing you'll learn in a relationship with God is that just because it works for other people doesn't mean it's gonna fly when it comes to you. The second thing to note is that nothing is impossible with God. Time and time again, we've seen God change the script. We've seen him turn the story from things that be like, this is impossible, to things that are now possible. In the life of Elisabeth, she now has a child, even though she was tagged barren, right? So nothing is impossible with God. Nothing. No, not one. Y'all, this is the end of our Bible story for today. Share this video with someone to encourage them, to let them know that nothing is impossible with God. Until next time, I love you. And God loves you more. Bye-bye.